Click, click, boom. What's going on, faithfuls? The Nothing But Niners crew is back for another more Midnight Madness episode, guys. Did you think we were going to miss one? It's Friday night. Mike is out with his family. Mike is having a couple of brews. He's killing flies, apparently. I didn't know that thing was alive. I thought it was dead until I plucked it and then it moved. But yeah, so let's have some fun. Brian, let's start with you, man. How are you doing today, man?
It's good. It's been a good day. As I told you yesterday, it was
young man's birthday.
Yeah, the young man's birthday. So he used some of his birthday money and bought Mario Golf that was recently released, and he and I have been playing that basically all day. You know, that's what he wanted to do, so that's what we've been doing.
Sounds like good old-fashioned fun right there, man. I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, that's like 100 degrees today, so, you know, sit in the AC house and play golf.
Hell yeah, man. Absolutely. We're going to pop these formalities up on the screen. We're not going to go through it. We're going to get right to today on Twitter. Oh, wait, not today on Twitter. I said it wrong again. On Twitter today. That's
you can call it whatever you want. It's our show. You made it up.
Yeah, but I got to stick with the banner. I got to stick with the name of the banner. You know what I'm saying? I only have one story today, and I want to get some. We're going to do some speculating here. This post was from the SF 49ers or SF Niners. Corey Rush, Vice President of Communications for the New York Giants, is leaving his role for a larger role with the 49ers per NY Post _Schwartz. What could he possibly be doing for the 49ers?
You know, I looked at the some of the, you know, if there was openings in the staff, and I don't see anything that the 49ers have put out, so I'm not sure what it is that he's coming in to do. But I tried to figure it out, but I couldn't find anything on the Niners page.
Any idea what a VP of communications does?
I'm assuming that has to do with, you know, dealing with the journalists and like Kier Martin, you know, just you know, communications with you know, within like Santa Clara itself, you know, being out here. So once he becomes fully part of the organization here, you know, dealing with the what is it? The Chamber of Commerce, not Chamber of Commerce, the City Council or whomever you have to deal with. I assume they're part of that. He's part of having to deal with that. You know, I'm sure there's quite a few things that come underneath that purview. You know, what information gets put out, probably what players will be available for. Maybe not at his level. If he's going to be taking on something larger like that, he might not be in charge of what players or who the media might have access to. But those are things that when I think about the communications role, that would probably fall underneath their purview.
I know that the team recently moved on from the team to join the Eagles. Bob Lang. I don't know. Maybe he's coming here to replace Bob Lang as the person that was doing. You know, he like runs the pressers and coordinate that stuff, and that's communications in a sense. So maybe that's who Bob Lang's replacement is going to be. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out as time goes on. But congratulations and welcome to the team, Mr. Corey Rush. All right. So let's go ahead and get to these questions, man. They were loading them up here. And here's the first one from Danny Albright. How come retired NBA players get coaching jobs, but retired NFL players don't?
Well, I wouldn't say that they don't. I mean, you got, right off the top of my head, you got Vrabel out in Tennessee, who was a player who became a coach. Of course, you
can look in-house right here. Our defensive coordinator right now, he's a coach.
Well, I was thinking about head coaches, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you got D'Amico, was a player. Right. You got Wes Welker, who was a player.
Ron Rivera is a head coach.
Ron Rivera.
Harbaugh was a player also. He played for the Colts and I think another team. I can't remember what the other team was. But it does happen in the NFL is the point though here. So yeah, those guys get busy too, man. Those guys get busy also. Not even in the same class. All right. I don't know what that comment is. Sorry about the background noise. All right, here we go. Brian, how about you read him? So I'll go on mute and then I'll answer off.
Always faithful, 24/7. Let's go 49ers. Do you think any of our rookies are overrated or underrated based on college stats? And do you think any of them get the start over other starters? I think that, I mean, if you were to walk through all of our rookies that we have for this season, you know, Trey's going to get a chance. I don't know when that chance is going to be. At the very least, it'll be next year. But I mean, I would not be surprised if we see him at some point this year. I don't know if it'll be due to injury or if he actually surpasses Jimmy. But it's definitely a possibility. Obviously, I think Aaron Banks is going to step right into the right guard spot, so he's going to be taking over for anybody else that we would have had on the team. I think there's definitely a chance for Trey Sermon to supplant Mostert on this roster. So, yes, I do think that that's a possibility on several of these. When you think about both Lenore and Thomas, depending on how training camp goes, there's a very good possibility they could overtake Mosley. Verrett's locked in as far as I'm concerned, but, Mosley, he's either going to excel with more competition or they're going to surpass him. So, yeah, it's definitely possible that our rookies could take over on some of those starters.
I'm going to go with the overrated or underrated guy. I think the underrated guy, based off of college stats, is going to be Trey Sermon. I think that we're going to see him excel in the system, and not necessarily being the starter or not the starter or whatever, just production wise. I think that this guy could be 1,000-yard rusher easily in the system, and I'm not sure if he had many of those kind of seasons in college. So I think that's something that we could look forward to here. And that's really it. The other rookie, you touched on them all. Like you said, Banks is going to excel here. That the run blocking and pass blocking are going to be things that I think are both going to be strengths of his and going to really solidify that right guard position.
Right.
All right. Here we go. Have you guys changed your minds in thinking that Fields should have been the pick at 3, or are you now completely bought in with Lane? This is a good question. Because I was adamant that Fields should be the guy at 3. So
and I was too. You want to go first here? So yeah, I can go. I can give you my 2 cents anyway. So I still am a Fields. I still back Fields as far as my thought process of that's who we should have drafted. However, and that is only because, as I stated before, for me, Trey not playing for a year and also playing at the collegiate level against competition that is not tier 1 talent. That has me that I have some concerns. So until I can actually see him now, I'm saying that, but he is now a 49er. So I back him 150,000% because he's on this team. So if it had been me, I would have probably gone with Fields with the information that I had. But since the team took Lance, I back Lance 150,000%.
I think Fields will excel at being a quarterback faster than Trey Lance will. So I still think that should have been the pick. If I had it my way, that's how I would have done it. But I'm not against Lance. I hate that it seems like that. I hate that people, not this question, not Kevin in particular, but just if you like one guy, that means you don't like the other guy. That's not the case. I like Jimmy. I hope Jimmy succeeds. I also know that I need to want Trey Lance to succeed as well. And both can't happen on this team. It just can't happen. So back to this Fields thing, I still think Fields, I would have been more excited going into this season if Fields was the guy. I think that we wouldn't be saying, well, can Jimmy still be the starter? I think we'd be completely ready to move on if Fields was the pick. I think Fields was ready to come in and start day 1, where I think Lance is going to take some time to get caught up to the speed of the game, like you were saying, because of the competition and things like that. Lance is going to be the guy, and he's got our support 1,000%, like Brian said. We got a couple of what's up and what's good, NBN, those kind of things.
Thank you.
Here we go. Just chilling, just kicking it. Sensei says, who's your favorite current and all-time 49er players?
There's so many. I mean, growing up in the 80s, I really enjoyed. Not so. I mean, I understand that Montana was the guy, but just the way Rice played, he was my favorite in the 80s. He's being, I was in my tween/teen years, and so for me it was fun. It was just fun to watch, And then I think currently I've got 2. I've got one on the offense and one on the defense. I really enjoyed the 19 season with Bosa just eating, but I also enjoy the personality that Kittle brings to this, just him in general, but the whole Bosa planting the flag and calling out Baker during that game, and then just having fun, like during the the Washington the Washington football team, after he got that sack and he slid in that wet grass, he was just out there having fun. And so to me, he's my number one, and Kittle's my number two of current players, but Rice is my favorite all-time player.
Phenomenal answers there. Phenomenal answers. My favorite 49er ever is Bryant Young. That's something that I've said over and over on this show. I've always had an affinity for defensive players. I just think that especially defensive linemen, I don't think they quite get the respect league-wide that they should. And I know Aaron Donald is changing that up a little bit, like the interior guys, but Bryant Young is my favorite 49ers player ever, like all time. And as far as current guys on the team, I'm a little torn. I like Fred Warner. I love Fred Warner. I like Jimmy Ward a whole lot. I don't – it's hard for me to say just one current Niner, but it would probably be Jimmy Ward. You can ask me this question tomorrow, and I might have a different answer.
Sure.
But right now, I think Jimmy Ward is the most valuable player in that secondary because he can play all 5 positions in the secondary: strong safety, free safety, left corner, right corner, and nickel.
Right.
And that and it's not just that he can do it. There's a lot of guys who can do it if you ask him to.
He does it
He's
well.
Good. He's good at all of them. He's well above average at every single one of those positions, and that's why I like Jimmy Ward. I think he's super underappreciated in the 49ers, especially amongst the fan base. This one, Brian, I'm going to ask for some clarity. So what I'm going to want you to do is scroll down to the bottom of the comments because I'm going to ask Walter to explain something here. So if he explains it while we're answering it, I want to answer it. So Walter, he says, would you rather have a guaranteed 10-win season for the next 5 years or win the Super Bowl this season and have a mediocre season for the next 5 years? And the clarity I'm going to ask for is this. With the NFL adding another team to the playoffs on each side, you can be mediocre, meaning 9 and 10 now. No, I'm sorry. What am I? 9 and 8. You can end up being 9 and 8 and still make the postseason. So if we take the mediocre answer, does that mean that we can't win a Super Bowl? That's what I want to know. Like, is it you either win a Super Bowl or you don't, or is it you're mediocre because the Giants were mediocre when they won both their Super Bowls? I think one year they had 10 wins, the other year they had 9. So
Right.
They were a mediocre team that got hot at the right time. If you're telling me that we're competing in those mediocre years and we can still win the Super Bowl, I probably would take that because you want to stay watching the game. You want to stay invested in it. Or are you telling me that it's just 1 year where we're going to make the Super Bowl and the rest of them we don't even make the postseason? So I need a little bit of clarity here.
So he just wrote, we still can, but it will of course be harder.
Okay. So then if that's the case, give me the mediocre and we'll hope for some things to bounce our way and we'll be competitive and be in the postseason and have a chance of winning it. Give me that. I'd rather see good football consistently than have one random year and then everything else just be a wash. So then give me that one.
Yeah, I'll take the trophy.
It's funny. We had this question and I took the trophy before because I thought it was either or. I thought that one situation excluded the option of winning the trophy. But
Right.
if we win it in both, give me consistently good football and we have a chance to win it still. Give me consistency. That's what I want. All right, Brian, you're going to have to read this one because this is a long one and I can't focus on it. Sorry.
DJ Malone, are there any NCAA teams you guys root for? Favorite instrument? What protein, parentheses meat, would you add to your hash browns? And what's both of your opinion on churros? Favorite meat to make candied? Okay. So are there any NCAA teams that you guys root for? And for me, it's the Oregon Ducks. I grew up right down the road. From the hospital I was born in, you could see the stadium, and I went to lots of Ducks games as a kid. So that's my college team.
My college team in football is Ohio State. And then basketball, I love the Georgetown Hoyas, but that's because I grew up as a dog lover and I loved what their mascot was.
Mascot. The Bulldog.
Next question is our favorite instrument. I'll go first and then Brian, you can take it from there and introduce the next question. My favorite instrument. All right. So my favorite instrument to play is the piano or keyboard, and I'm not good at it. It's a tie between that and the drums. But the instrument I love to listen to the most, this is going to sound super weird, it's the harp. There's something soothing and relaxing about a well-played harp that I just completely love. And strong nod to a good guitar solo. Strong second there, but I'm going to go with the harp as my favorite one to listen to.
So for me, I was a band geek as a middle schooler. I played saxophone all through school and then high school as well. Just always been around music. So when I joined the Navy, I couldn't tote that thing around. So I ended up buying a guitar. I learned and taught myself how to play guitar, and that became by far my favorite instrument. It's just fun, and the amount of things that you can do with it, once you know how to use it properly, it's a great instrument. And it's fun because you can sit down and, when you're playing sax, you can, but I wouldn't sit down and play with other sax players just to hang out. But when you're playing the guitar, you can still shoot the shit and sing and do other things and hang out, at the campfires or at the beach or whatever. And, and then if you can get some other guys who play other instruments, you can go out and make some money if you want to do that too. As far as the protein meat, add to hash browns, I'll put bacon on anything and everything, and I'll candy that shit too. So,
right. I'm going to go with spicy sausage. I think if you could infuse those together, oh man, that would be phenomenal. Spicy sausage.
Like linguiça or chorizo? Well, linguiça is like a Portuguese sausage. Chorizo, obviously, is.
It's got potatoes in it too?
No, you would add it to your hash brown.
You just named the type. I thought you meant that it existed already. I'm sorry, because I didn't know what you were talking about. But yeah, that would be it for me. And then since you answered the candied, I would go with candy. Does making something jerky count as being candied?
No, I don't think so.
What does candied mean?
Well, you sweeten it, so it's brown sugar, and I don't know if you end up dehydrating it or not, but you can make jam out of it, all kinds of good stuff.
Well, I don't like.
I don't know the exact process for canning it, but that's usually what you how you end up seeing it.
I guess something sweet. Salty. Maybe bacon. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a candied bacon would be good. I'm thinking that if it's candied, you need the salty and candied to go together.
Right.
I like spicy sausage, but I don't think that would be good sweet. I don't think. Maybe it would, because some of my favorite flavors of wings are like the honey hot, like the spicy honey. So
sure.
Maybe that would be good. I don't know. Yeah. All right, let's keep it moving here.
And churros. Shit. What are our opinions on churros?
Churros. Breaded cinnamon sticks.
Yeah.
Fucking love them.
Anything you can put cinnamon and sugar on is good to go.
Exactly. Good question. Short and sweet here from John. Over or under 7 starts for Jimmy?
Over.
Oh man, this is tough for me. I want to see Trey, and without seeing the preseason, I don't have a good answer. If it's under, that means we're not having a good season.
Well, not necessarily. Trey may step in and just blow everybody's mind, but I'm thinking that
you're right. I'm going to say
for me, it's going to take an injury for Jimmy to be replaced, and so I'm thinking with the with the season he had last year. And just recouping and knowing what he needed to strengthen up, with his high ankle sprains and stuff. And hopefully he did some stuff in the off season to keep, precautionary to keep that from happening. So I'm hoping that he'll be able to stay healthy, because a healthy Jimmy means we will do well, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under though. I'm going to do it because I'm just excited for the next chapter, and I want to get it here, and I want Trey to learn so we can be good sooner rather than later. I'm just going to take the under. But if Jimmy comes in here and wins them all, I'm fucking all for it, obviously.
Yeah.
All right. Scott says, "What's up, bros? I just had my first child, and my in-laws want to celebrate with a cigar. What do you suggest, Mike?" Oh, okay. All right.
Congrats on the new one.
Yes, absolutely. Round of applause. Good job, Scott. Man, congratulations. If they're not avid cigar smokers, you want to give them something light. Don't give them this heavy, thick cigars that I like to smoke. I would suggest you guys go out and find a Padron, Padron, with a little accent over the O. Get a Padron. They're usually light wrappers, easy to smoke, and decent flavors too. So yeah, that's what I would suggest. All right. I believe this is a question. After the end of this season, you could get a first round pick for Deebo. Would you?
First of all, it's gonna depend on how Deebo does this season. To me, if he doesn't make take a larger step, I guess, then I would depending on where that first is, I probably would do it. You know, if it's a 1 through, or obviously probably not going to be that high because nobody's going to give you a 1 through 10 for Deebo. But if you could get a first, you know, and you could find another wide receiver who's can be better than Deebo, or what you think Deebo can do, then I would definitely do it. Or if there's another position that you needed, you know, a blue chip player at, and you have the opportunity to get it, then, you know, that's definitely something. But it's going to depend on how this wide receiver room develops, or whether it develops or not, I guess.
I'm going to turn that down, only because if we can get a first for him, that means he's balling. That means he's playing really, really well, and I wouldn't want to let that go. That also means that he's probably staying healthy, because with his injuries and how frequent they are, they're small nagging injuries, but they're consistent enough where it's going to be really hard to get a first for him. So if someone's offering a first, that means that he had a really good season, and I'm not letting him go. You let him.
Let's barbershop that for a second, though. So, say he's balling, right? He's a second round pick. We're going to get a first for him. So we're upgrading theoretically. You're just paid Warner. You're going to have to pay Bosa. You're going to have to pay Ken Lawson. You know, Ayuk's going to get paid. Do you have the money? If he's playing at that level, do you have the money to pay another wide receiver top dollar, or would you be better off trying to go younger in the draft? And that's kind of my thought process.
I get that, and I think it's a good problem to have. But if we're getting him for a first at the end of the season, that means that he still had one more year left on contract, because this is Deebo's third year, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that means we still have one more. I'm keeping him this year and hope that he builds off of it next year, and then we'll just go from there. I'd rather have to face the tough, which one do we keep, versus just moving on. And then, look, we don't even know who wide receiver 3 is. Imagine trying to replace wide receiver 1 or 2. Like, no, I don't want to.
I get where you're coming from. I'm just thinking about future contracts and being able to take a second round pick and turn it into a first round pick. That's an awesome ability to be able to do that, if that was the case.
You also got to think of it this way, right? If Deebo is having a really good season, that's cool, that's great, but he's not gonna, because of the way Shanahan plays and runs the system, he's never gonna be the guy that has 1,800 yards.
Sure.
No receiver on this team is ever gonna get that. Not with Shanahan here. He doesn't produce that kind of thing unless now I know Julio had a really good year, but I think it was like 1,600 yards, right? With Shanahan, I think that's what he had.
Like that, yeah.
I don't think it was 1,700 or 1,800 yards, but that was with them force feeding Julio a lot that season.
Right.
And Shanahan's not in that position anymore. He's got weapons now. He's got a lot of weapons now, and he's going to spread it out. So Deebo can still play really well, and someone want to offer a 1 because they want him to be the focal point of their offense. But he would be a good complementary piece here, and I think he would accept the contract from us for being a complementary piece. That's my way of kind of.
And I would love that if he took a team-friendly deal. I just think that that's probably not going to be the case. And so while I would love to have him here, if I have to think about, you know, future contracts, for me, is, you know, just given that scenario,
right.
If I was offered a first for him, you know, it was a 10 through 20 pick, I'd probably trade him.
I think Deebo would accept a 14 million, 15 million a year type deal. I don't think anybody is going to offer him those upper echelon of wide receivers getting 20 million. He's not that kind of guy. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, and to be fair, he hasn't, you know, as much as we talk about other people's injuries, Deebo's had his own set of injuries that he's had to deal with, you know, so you got to talk about availability with him as well.
Yeah. And this is going to be the last question of the night, only because I'm at someone else's house and I'm being weird. The strangest thing a visitor has done at your home. I mean, this is probably the strangest thing that a visitor has done at my brother-in-law's home, like leaving to do a live YouTube show. I had I don't want to say exactly who it was. I had someone at our house who was raiding my alcohol cabinet. We flagged this person multiple times, and it was to the point where I had to call their significant other and say, "You have to come and get him." And it was just awkward because the more alcohol they consumed, the more belligerent and rude they became, and it was literally like I would get up to use the bathroom, and they would run to where my liquor was and like drink out of my bottles, and that doesn't sit well with me because when you do this and you bring it back down, if your mouth is still open, you're backwashing and shit. And I was very offended, very pissed off, and that person has not been back to my house, not been invited back to my house since then. So that's probably the strangest thing that someone has done in my house.
Yeah, I don't really have anything I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, other than somebody coming in using the bathroom and not flushing, or I've had people come in and start to reorganize rooms because they were not they're OCD about how things are set up. They want to like feng shui my living room, and I'm like, sit your ass down and have a drink.
There you are begging someone to have a drink, and I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum saying stop drinking. But guys, this has been really fun. Normally we rock out for the whole 30 minutes, but again, I am at someone else's house. I don't want to be rude. We went over the 20 minutes. So I think this is a happy medium. I wanted 20. We can max out at 30. Here we are at 26 and some change. So that's going to do it for us tonight, guys. Thank you all for checking us out. And we will see you guys tomorrow.
Yes, we will. Mahalo.